So again, algebra students, we're going to spend another day working on writing equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. Now that we've learned about the slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines, this won't be too much extra to add on today. So what do we know about the slopes of parallel lines? If they are parallel, that means that they have the same slope. And if they are perpendicular, that means that they have opposite reciprocal slopes. And remember, that means that they are different signs and we flip that fraction over to be the reciprocal. Okay, so today I would recommend that you write down several of these problems, several of the parallel ones and several of the perpendicular ones as notes, so you have some examples to reference as you're doing your own work today. So I want to be able to write different equations given the information that they have here for me. I want to go through a particular point, which is -1, -4, and I want it to be parallel to y equals 8x. The only thing I really need from that equation, y equals 8x, is this right here. That's the slope. I know that the slope is 8, or 8 over 1. Once I know that, to be perfectly honest, you don't need anything else right here. You can ignore that. That's all I needed was that one number. Now that I know my slope and I know my point, remember here's my x and here's my y, and I can even put ones in there. I'm going to write this equation. Now that I have a point and a slope, I'm going to write point-slope form. Point-slope form, remember, looks like this. Y minus my y number equals m times x minus my x number. I'm going to put in my ordered pair and my slope to get my point-slope form. So I'm going to have y minus the y number in here is -4. The m, the slope, is 8. And then x minus my x number, which is -1. So the only work that I would expect to see for this step is really just to change those into addition. And then I want to change that into slope-intercept form. Remember, this is 2 steps. We distribute, and then we move the number that's with the y. Every single time, that's the only 2 steps we have to do. So here is my point-slope form. To change it now into slope-intercept, I have y plus 4 equals 8x plus 8. And my last step is get rid of the number that's with the y. So y equals 8x plus 4. There's my equation in slope-intercept form. We just have a bunch of these to practice. So again, in this equation that they're giving me, since I'm saying it's parallel to that, that just means that it is exactly the same slope. Right there is my m. Other than that, I didn't need anything else from that equation. So there's my slope. I need point-slope form and then slope-intercept form. So I'm going to say y minus my y number, which is right here in the 2, equals my slope, -1/2, times x minus my x number, which is 4. That's point-slope. And now I want to clean this up into slope-intercept. So I would suggest that we do a keep, change right there. And we're going to distribute first. So I have y minus 2 equals -1/2 x. -1/2 times a -4 is going to be positive, and half of 4 is 2. Last thing to do is get rid of this number with the y. So I get that y equals -1/2 x plus 4. I'm going to strongly recommend that you show the work. Don't try to do this all in your head. People make mistakes that way, okay? And if I'm going too fast, you can certainly pause it. If you feel like you understand the parallel problems, maybe you don't need to write down all 4 of my parallel examples, but let me just keep going here. So parallel to this equation, again, here's my slope. That's all I needed. Now, y minus my y number equals m times x minus my x number. I know that some of you see that fraction right there and it starts to freak you out a little bit, but that's just positive 7/3 x minus, when I do this distribution, I'm going to give you nice stuff to distribute. 7/3 times 3, or 3/1, well, the those 3's just cancel. That's just a 7, so it'll be minus 7. And then I just have to add the 2. Be careful that you see that that's really a negative 7. So I'm going to get y equals 7 over 3x. Negative 7 plus 2 is a negative 5. Next one. The slope is 2/3. Done with the rest of that equation. Y minus my y number equals m times x minus my x number, which happens to be a negative, so we'll have to do a keep, change. So I've got y minus 2 equals 2/3 x plus 2/3 times 2. That one is going to be 4/3. Not as nice as the last one, but it is a positive 4/3, or 1 1/3. Now, slope, I don't want mixed numbers, but the y-intercept, sometimes a mixed number makes sense. To solve this one for y, we're going to add 2. So I get that y equals 2/3 x. 1 1/3 plus 2 is just going to be 3 1/3. Or you could have that as y equals 2/3 x plus 10/3. Or 3.3 repeating, not just 3.3 though. Now we're at perpendicular. Again, the only thing I need from that whole mess of that equation is just the right slope. The slope of this line is 1/7. The slope of a perpendicular line, the perpendicular slope, will be the opposite sign and then reciprocal, 7 over 1, or just negative 7. So the slope of this line is 1/7. The perpendicular will have a slope of negative 7. So point slope form, I'm going to go y minus my y number equals m times x minus my x number. I've got y plus 3 equals negative 7x plus 7. And then we get rid of the 3. So we had our point slope form right there, and then slope intercept form is right there. Again, I do suggest that you're writing these down. At least do one more of the perpendiculars as an example so you've got more to look at. The slope of the line that's given to us is 4, right? So the perpendicular slope is going to be negative 1/4. I'm going to have y minus my y number, which is negative 4, equals my slope, oh, and I wrote it wrong, negative 1/4, x minus my x number. This one is really nice for distributing a fraction. That's going to be a negative 1/4 x, and a negative times a negative is a positive. 1/4 of 4 is just 1. And then I have to get rid of that 4. So y equals negative 1/4 x minus 3. Feel free to pause this anytime if I'm going too quickly. This line has a slope of negative 2. So my perpendicular slope is going to be a positive 1/2. Y minus my y number equals m times x minus my x number. So I'm going to have y. Sorry about the bell. That's after my distribution. And then when I subtract, oh my goodness, subtract the 5, positive 1/2 minus 5 is going to be a negative 4.5, or negative 4.5 would be fine as well. Here we go. Last one of these. This time, this will be a nice slope to work with. The slope of this line is 1/2. The slope of a perpendicular is going to be a -2/1, or just -2. So y minus my y number, m times x minus my x number. So I have y plus 1 equals -2x plus 2, and then we'll get rid of the 1. Today's worksheet is about writing equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. It looks just like what we just did. Make sure you check with the answer key in Schoology, and then when you're all done, take the formative in Schoology. If you need any help, let me know.